Hello, everyone. Welcome again to another Teacher Joseph podcast. It's widely reported in today's news that two very famous markets in London are going to close. One is Smithfield Meat Market, and the other is Billingsgate Fish Market. Now, if you've come to London as a tourist, you may not have noticed them, but they are rather iconic. And in fact, they're 850 years old. Now, in some countries, that's probably something very special. Now, as you know, British people, we don't really have such a love for fresh food. So I'm not sure anybody's too troubled when both of these markets disappear after 850 years. We're going to read about this in a BBC News story of today, and the same story also appears in the Guardian newspaper. Let's read what it has to say. The oldest meat and fish markets in London, which date back 850 years, are facing permanent closure from 2028. Smithfield Meat Market near St Paul's Cathedral and Billingsgate Fish Market in Canary Wharf are to be closed after the City of London Corporation voted to withdraw their support. The Corporation of the City of London, I believe, is one of our government's local areas or local councils. It says here the corporation said it would now work with traders to help them find other places. Traders are being offered compensation, and they're saying that a London tradition will be lost, with one saying, well, it's all about money. Smithfield is the largest wholesale meat market in the UK and one of the biggest in Europe. It goes on to say that it's been at its current site since the 1860s, and before that, it was a livestock market which went back to the medieval period. 850 years. Work has already begun on changing this site into a new commercial hub, which includes a new London museum. Billingsgate Fish Market is the largest inland fish market in the UK, with an average of 25,000 tonnes of fish and fish products sold there every year. The original fish market was in Lower Thames Street in 1327, and it moved to its current site in 1982. This site has been earmarked to provide thousands of new homes. So if something is earmarked, it means it's promised to be something else. Initially, the corporation had planned to move both markets. However, this was dropped earlier this month over cost concerns. The decision to close the markets and to offer compensation to the people there was made by the corporation. Now, the corporation is going to go to the government about this to try to make sure that it doesn't carry any responsibilities of running these markets. It wants to basically let go of both of them completely. So I guess that means that in the future, someone may be free to set up another market similar. It says here, a trader whose family has sold fish for the site for the last 70 years added, well, we've been told to leave. I can't just go and set up somewhere else. And someone else is saying here, it means there's no fish market in London. London will be without a fish supplier. Let's see what else. Yeah, it says Brexit and the pandemic have both brought down and led to the demise of the market, says somebody else. The government, on the other hand, this is the City of London Corporation. I think this is a company set up by the government. I don't quite know how it works. It's saying that it's a good thing. It's a positive new chapter. The spokesman said, "We've worked closely with the traders and thank them for their understanding." They're saying, "We're making sure that this transition will be seamless." That means without any problems. Think of clothes. You know, when you sew two bits of cloth together, it leaves a seam, an area where you can see they're joined, S-E-A-M. So we use the word seamless, meaning you can't see where the two things are joined. And we use that word when we talk about transitions. It'll be seamless. You won't know anything has changed. But of course, they will know the markets are being closed. Oh, very interesting. Very interesting. Yeah, when I was a boy here in the UK, I remember many towns, most towns even, had a fishmonger and a butcher. And you could go and buy fresh meat. You still see some butchers around to buy fresh meat. I haven't seen a fishmonger in many years. That's basically a fish shop, a fishmonger. And of course, now we have huge supermarkets that sit on the edge of town. And you can go there to buy fresh fish or frozen fish. But it's not the same. They have too many choices. People who are not really trained or people who know nothing about the cuts of meat. And they use the metric system, which is quite scary. If you ask for a pound of meat, there's a kind of an awkwardness, and then there's a discussion about what that is in kilograms or grams. I don't like the metric system. But yes, so it's a tradition that's lost. If you think of these two markets, Smithfield and Billingsgate, if you've ever been to Barcelona and you remember the market at the top of La Rambla, San Josep's market, I think, after the Saint San Josep Oriol, or Oriel. Yeah, well, that market would be something similar to Smithfield. If you imagine a British version of that, less colour, more unhappy people, it's something kind of like that. But it's a tradition which goes back many, many years. Now, we, as British people, we don't generally seek out fresh food. I mean, we're very happy with frozen food or with maybe some fresh food that we put in the freezer and cook it later. We don't really care because we don't celebrate food. It's beginning to change now, but it's really not our thing. Never has been. So interesting that these two markets are going to close. I'm not sure they're on the tourist map, but the next time you are in London and you're heading for St. Paul's Cathedral, do have a look at Smithfield. It kind of reminds me of those lovely markets in Barcelona. I think definitely San Josep's at the top of the Rambla, and there's another one I think called Saint Catharinas, is it? Catherine's? I don't remember the name. There's another one in Barcelona that's kind of similar around the town centre. Or there was anyway last time I saw. So yeah, so things are changing. Markets disappearing. Speaking of fish, do you remember the song Seasons in the Sun? It was a Jacques Brel song from Belgium about someone who was dying. And then here in the UK, it was re-recorded by Terry Jacks. And it became, or it was at least was known to be very, very sentimental. The original one was about a man who was saying goodbye to life as he was dying. However, like a lot of British translations of songs, we turned it into something really dark and horrible. The lyrics were like this. This is by Terry Jacks, the English version, not the Jacques Brel version. They say, "Goodbye to you, my trusted friend. We've known each other since we were 9 or 10. Together we've climbed hills and trees, land of love and ABCs, skinned our hearts and skinned our knees." That's to skin is when you fall and the skin is rubbed off your knee and it's bleeding. And your mother, of course, puts cream on it to make it feel better. And then he says in the next verse, Terry tells us, "Goodbye, my friend, it's hard to die when all the birds are singing in the sky." And he goes on with really depressing lyrics. But the reason why I'm telling you all of this is because in one of the songs, Terry tells us, "We had joy, we had fun, we had seasons in the sun, but the stars we could reach were just starfish on the beach." That's in one of the verses, not one of the songs. There is, of course, only one song. It's called Seasons in the Sun. Jacques Brel had the hit with it. Terry Jacks sang the very depressing English version, but the stars we could reach were just starfish on the beach. And we're mentioning that song because Billingsgate Fish Market, along with Smithfield Meat Market, after 850 years, will be closing in London. So if you don't know where they are and you do actually want to check them out, you can find them. They're very well known. Next time you're in London, do go and have a look. I'm not surprised. I mean, the way British people live has changed completely. We don't really eat with people. We don't really have social structures. So the idea of the woman going shopping on a Friday to buy the meat for the week or whatever else simply doesn't exist anymore. So I think people are just moving in accordance with that, although they do seem to be very popular. It's the government or the government's company that's pulling the plug on these markets because I guess it's costing them a lot of money. I wouldn't mind going to a fish market. I mean, we don't have any here, but it would be nice if there was even a shop to sell fresh fish. I would happily go and buy fresh fish from the fishmonger and then go to the butcher's to buy meat and then cross the road to the post office, just like the old days. I'd love to live like that, but that's not the way the world is anymore. We have these massive American-style malls sitting just outside of our towns. And yeah, the days of the high street have all gone. In fact, in our high street here where I'm living, there's nothing. The shops are mainly empty. The government's paying people to try to set up little businesses, but of course they don't last long because nobody uses them. And many of these premises are taken by charity shops selling second-hand goods because we live in a very disposable culture. I might buy a table next week and then decide the old table, which is perfectly nice and still usable, that will be either given away, sent away, or I'll call one of these charity shops to come and pick it up so they can resell it. So yeah, everything is disposable now. It's rather tragic. Right, that's it from me for today. That's the news. So let's talk again soon. See you. Bye.